They happening? Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Viewers, comments and questions live. Dan here.
Nick here, hello.
Hope you're all amazing. Yes, we're amazing. So we hope you are too. I just pulled this whole thing. And just to remind myself what an exceptional guitar this is. I might have to add this back into high rotation.
It's trouble, isn't it? When they get put away in their cases. Hello everyone, welcome to VCQ. It's given me a warning that this bitrate stream thing is a bit low, so let us know that you're getting... Let us know that you're seeing us and hearing us okay. We were 3 minutes late because it logged me out twice on the way to trying to go live.
I find the internet helpful.
It's 2025.
Its main thing is to be helpful.
It is 2025. I should have asked AI to do it, shouldn't I?
Sonorous.
Welcome to tonight on
Jazz.
Wallpaper the Wall with your host John Wall and Dave Paper. Tonight the wall we're going to be papering is flat, been painted. We're going to paper it with wood chip,
And then we're going to cover it with 3 coats of high gloss.
paint a giant mural.
Giant mural.
Muriel. I had an Auntie Muriel. My mum had an Auntie Muriel. And of course she was called Auntie Manuriel. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it helped her.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Everyone's saying it's sound and video is excellent as usual. There we
We're
go.
just such professionals.
Yes, thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a day. We had a flying visit by a
We
very
did.
dear friend of ours,
Yeah.
Mr. Robin of Fordshire.
Popped in, as you do. Was remarking to Daniel only this week. It is quite mad, isn't it? There we were, sat with James Dean Bradfield on Tuesday, talking about the hits of the Manic Street Preachers and guitar tones therein.
Yes.
And then Robin Ford phones up and says, "Can I drop in?" I'm like, "Nah, mate." Have you ever tried singing that in a band?
No.
Oh my God, it's impossible.
Yeah. He is a powerful Welsh vocalist.
He is a
He has the Welsh thrust.
rock dog.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Very cool indeed. Yeah. Good. I'm pleased. Anyway, sorry. Welcome to VCQ. For those of you who are new, we do this most Mondays. We didn't do it last Monday as Dan was in California. And how was your trip, Daniel?
It was lovely. It was really lovely. I had a fascinating time. So I started off in Oklahoma.
Ah, yes.
Perfect. I went down and spent a couple of days with Robert Keeley, which was really wonderful, seeing what he's got going on.
No doubt you filmed a full vlog. And...
Filmed all that stuff. And
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did?
course
Oh,
I
wow.
did.
Awesome.
Yeah, I did.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just, just to show the people, what an incredible thing he's built. It's really remarkable.
Because he now does all his own metal work and everything.
Everything. Metalwork, PCBs, design, everything. All done in-house. It's really remarkable. And hang out with his team and, Creighton and Aaron and everyone. Just such great people. So I had a really great time there. And then I went to NAMM. So
is that what he did after Red Dwarf then?
Creighton.
Yeah.
He did. They chiseled the H off his forehead and now he just looks like a normal human.
Crichton is Robert's son-in-law, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Stepson.
Yeah, okay.
Stepson.
Right. And wasn't in Red Dwarf. I'm going to turn off the super chats because we have a lot. We'll say thank you to BV for being
Yes,
with us.
thank you, BV.
And moderalising.
Superstar.
Thank you, BV. So
Yeah.
if you've super chatted to this point, we will answer. But I'm going to turn them off because we have a lot and we want to get through them all before this evening's meat feast ensues.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, but then I went to NAMM. And it was fascinating. It was great to catch up with everyone and hang out with Andy a lot, which was really wonderful. I always feel energized and rejuvenated after spending some time with that man.
Andy Timmins.
Andy Timmins. So that was really great. And just to get a general...
Us honking for all the name dropping we've done already tonight.
Yeah, it's been brutal. But I wanted to spend some time at NAMM, seeing what's different, seeing the vibe of the industry and what's going on. So it was my first time to NAMM since pre-COVID days, before the dark times. And I really didn't know what to expect, especially with everything that's gone on in LA at that, the past few weeks.
Did you feel that at all?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not like if I hadn't seen it on the news,
Right.
you wouldn't have known it had happened.
Well, that says a lot for a place that infrastructure can remain in place with that level of disruption.
It was. I mean, so NAMM's, Anaheim's like it's quite a way away from where the fires were, but it was remarkable. So, Hawley downstairs, which is where all the fun stuff was. So all the fun stuff a lot of it is now back upstairs, and Hawley was much smaller affair.
They closed it completely when I went last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was back open, but man, but upstairs where all the pedals and amps and things were, man, it was absolutely heaving.
Well, because they've made it public.
They have made it public.
That's one of the reasons I didn't want to go.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
With no disrespect to anyone, it's just impossible to do any work when it's public.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was lovely to see everyone, and remarkably, well, not remarkably, but it was wonderful to see pedal business and all of our friends are doing very well. They're doing very well.
Because there's been a bit of, down in the mouthness in the music industry, music instrument industry in general in recent months. A bit of a hangover from post-COVID for all sorts of reasons. One, the supply chain issues with electronic components, but also the huge boom in purchasing that occurred, and then the significant drop-off that happened thereafter.
Yeah.
And various businesses not really being ready for that, not predicting it.
That's right.
Which seems insane, but anyway, if you're a sales manager, you don't go in and say, I think we're going to be 40% down next quarter.
That's right.
Sure, keep your job, have a raise.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, but no, it was really good. And I've worked out if my little strapline was, if you do good business, business is good.
Right.
You know what I mean? If your business is stable, as in, if the way that you do business, if that's a good, if it's built on proper business things, you're okay.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
We should say hello to Joel Silber. Hello, Joel.
Oh, hello,
who was
Joel.
here for Experience Day on Friday. To Wadey, 1960 CS. Michael Giliberto is on. Paul Snow. Gordon Neal, Music Therapy Laz. Chris. Alex241. Brad Schultz. Frank Bolam. Dan Otley. Hi, Dan. Todd Roy. BV, obviously. David Tompkins. Lots and lots of old friends. Scott Curry, good to hear from you, mate. Who else we got on? Thomas Eichinger. Lots and lots of friends. David Pekarski, Fender Jeff, Eric Zenhausen, Isaac Draper. Obo Roadie's on. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Good. Lovely to have so many friends here. Sorry I can't mention absolutely everyone, but it seems that we are in good company as always. Marcus Reeves is in.
Yes,
Paul Matulovic is in.
Hurrah.
Yeah, lots and lots of lovely friends. Lots of lovely friends. We are lucky. We are fortunate to be among one another.
Yes, indeed. That's what was really nice. Just seeing everyone again, actually getting to shake people's hands and have a conversation with
people. Get any diseases?
Nothing you got to worry about.
You seem remarkably well. I get sick every time I go on that damn plane. I get sick.
Oh, okay. No, I was fine.
Good.
That was all,
Nice.
was all good. I think because I hit the ground running when I got back,
Yeah.
I was fine.
Next week then.
Next week. Yeah, I'll delay it for next week. But no, it was really great. Really great. So anyone that came up and said hi there, which, was really lovely. So it was lovely to meet you all. Yeah, wonderful.
Groovy. Let us progress then towards the super chats. First in this week is Wadey 1960 CS. Hello, Wadey. He says, appreciate all the hard work and wonderful content. Hope you're both doing well. Have a great evening. Well, that's very kind of you, mate. How super kind. How super kind. We've kicked the year off in good style. We did our first artist so far. We were with James Dean Bradfield, Manic Street Preachers on Tuesday. We're hoping to get that show out on the 14th of Feb. Copyright shenanigan notwithstanding. I'll check we're putting at a healthy level, Daniel.
Indeed.
It may have dropped a bit.
Yes. Oh, man, but what a day that was. So, told a couple of stories, but my first introduction to Manic Street Preachers was I was backstage at Bon Jovi.
Oh, God.
And I know it's terrible. Oh, and caught up with Phil X while I was there as well. Oh, man. So I was backstage with Phil X, and he was sort of struggling a little bit because they had to have a quiet stage because, John's vocals and stuff, so everything's in ISO cabs, and he kind of got a way around that. And then as we're talking about this absolute thunderous guitar sound starts up right next to me, and the Manics were supporting Bon Jovi, and his guitar sound was like a jet engine. It was incredible.
He's rock.
He is completely rock, but really toneful. Like it really sounded great, and we were treated to a lot more of that on Tuesday.
It was great.
Really
it was
wonderful.
really, really great. What a complete sweetheart. It's funny, lots of these famous rock stars that we end up meeting, just actually all of them, just sweethearts.
Completely.
Just sweethearts. Lovely, lovely, lovely humans.
Completely.
Chris Costabile. Hello, Chris.
Hello,
nice
Chris.
to hear from you. He says, Legends, I'm in the market for a 335. My budget reaches to the lower custom shop used market. Although I hear the new standard productions models with T-types are good, the rub. There's not a single 335 in my town. What are your recommendations? I would say... Sorry.
No, you go.
If you can, find a Memphis one. Memphis from sort of mid 2010s. So that period. Can't remember when they shut the Memphis factory. It was within recent years, and they moved the whole production to Nashville. It's a bit confusing because Gibson custom solid bodies had always been in Nashville. Les Pauls and SGs and what have you, always made in Nashville. But for a long time, I don't know how long the Memphis plant was open, but for a long time, the guitars with air in them generally, 330s, 335s, 345s, 355s, 175s, that kind of thing, were made in Memphis. And they had the original machines that they used to make them on in the 50s, the laminate presses and stuff. And there was a little period there in the mid-2010s where every guitar I saw coming out of Memphis was really good.
Right.
And if you can find one with the VOS finish, I don't know what it stands for, vintage original spec or something, vintage original stock, is a very, very, very light touch relicking.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Which is what this is one of those guitars. This is a Gibson Memphis VOS 1958 reissue 335. And at that time, you could get two. You get 1958 and a 1963. Difference being, you could actually get three. They didn't do the 58s for very long. The 59 was the kind of the standard one with binding. And then the 63 had the different shaped horns, the pointier horns, and it's got the extra little cutout here. So if you want to do any wiring, it's much easier to get to. Here in the center block. But they're just great. Now, the confusing part was that Custom Shop continued to be made in Nashville.
Oh, right, okay.
And to my knowledge, they didn't do the VOS finish there, but... And obviously you get a great guitar from Gibson Custom Shop, whatever. But personally, if I was going out to buy one tomorrow, I'd look for a Memphis made one. And then your choice is basically 59 or 63. So the 63 has the slightly pointier horns. The 59 has the Mickey Mouse ears like this. That's what I would go for on the used market. They do hold their money very well because lots of people know them to be generally very good guitars.
Yeah.
And it's a bugger you can't try them because they do.
It is. One of the things that is always handy about going somewhere that has 2 or 3 of the same guitar is you get to do a quick A/B test. Like, I know if I'm going to have a look at a guitar, let's say Anderton's has a custom shop SG that I want to have a look at. It's one in stock. And I want to go down and try it. I'm already going down there with the idea that I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And that puts you in a different mind space. It's got to be pretty bad for me not to buy it. You know? But going somewhere where there's a couple and you can do an A/B, at least out of that 2 or 3, those 2 or 3 guitars, you find one that connects a bit with you. But I still, the only time I've ever had any issues with new guitars is when I haven't tried them.
Yeah.
But the, like you were saying, there was a couple of those guitars or 3 of those guitars when you went to try them, right?
Yeah, I tried 2 that were exactly the same.
Right, and they're
side by side, and I liked them absolutely equally. I chose the one I like the look of.
Right. Well, there you go.
And because
they're consistent, right?
I think so, and I've played a lot of them. And I also went to the Memphis factory, so I might be a bit biased because I was quite taken by what they did there. I've been to Nashville as well, but I can remember playing various ones: 330s, 335s, 355s, 175s, and just really liking what they did. So that's what I would look for personally. If you can stretch to the lower custom shop. To be fair, they are more used than they were new at the moment. So,
right.
Yeah. But keep your eye out for a Murphy Lab or something like that. If one comes up, then you can reach it because they're also very cool. If you go for the lighter Relics ones, in my personal opinion. David Burke quite rightly points out that the VOS isn't necessarily. Oh, the fire alarm keeps going off.
That just took years off me.
Helpfully, it has a fault. Which, of course, is exactly what you need in your fire alarm, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just take the bit where we check the building, make sure nothing was on fire. Take that as read. Anyway, let's move on. That was a nice interjection. Yeah, go for one of those. Sorry, David Burke rightly pointed out, it's not a relic job per se, it's a treatment to the finish, which just makes it look a little bit worn, and then they aged some of the parts in acid just to tarnish them off a bit, which some of you may find crazy. I really like it. I think they just look right when they're done like that. Yeah.
BV is gone. Memphis factory was open from 2000 to
18, was it?
To 2018, 2019. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving right along. Mick says Alex 241. 241 Alexes.
Sorry. Richard Pribino says, holy cow, this show is on fire. Sorry, very good. Please continue.
I've purchased a guitar, says Alex241, that you gave high marks to back in 2013. It's a 2016 Classic Series 660 Stratocaster lacquer in Sunburst, and it's brilliant. The least expensive path to a lacquer Strat. Alex, that's really funny you say that, because our good friend Joel Silber, who came to Experience Day on Friday, brought that exact guitar.
There you go.
In, and I looked at it, I was like, what's that, American vintage? And he's like, no, it's a Classic Series lacquer. Yeah, at the time, they didn't make many of them because doing the full lacquer finish was tough. They did a candy apple red one, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and a sunburst one, Strats. And it was, your entry level to a proper lacquer finish without going down the rabbit hole of what a proper lacquer finish is. Nice one, mate. I hope you really enjoy that guitar. Brad Schultz. Hello, Brad.
Hello, Brad.
Hello from Orlando.
I like Orlando.
SeaWorld, is that there?
Disneyland, all the Universal Studios, all that stuff's there. Was there in August last year. Had the best time. Really fun.
Nice. Have you ever tried Faux wet dry wet using a humdinger for the dry amp and G3's parallel routing summing into a single wet amp? Yeah, I mean that's wet dry, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you get the benefit of your parallel signal path with your whatever you've got parallel not affecting one another.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. We also did one where you have the true, yes, exactly that, but you can do it stereo, wet, dry, wet, with everything paralleled up and a dry thing in the center, which was really fun. But what's really cool about that as well, not having the dry amp, just going your dry signal around the outside of your parallel feed. And what became really obvious to me was, let's say you've got your overdrive and you're going, you've got your delay and you've got your reverb and maybe some modulation in parallel. If you have them in series and you take away all of the wet effects, so it's just dry, and then you compare that to the dry signal that you just split directly after overdrives, the difference is remarkable.
Yeah, right.
So without the dry signal going through all of the extra circuitry in those pedals and just hitting that on the outside, is like, oh yeah, it's clarity and stuff is back. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Nice way to do it. Really, really nice way to do it. Yeah, have we tried it?
Yeah, we did it.
We did it on the show
with the parallel show we just did recently.
Wasn't that fully wet dry wet though?
It was, but we started off with just the dries going around the outside of it as well.
Yeah,
and then we
and then
transitioned
it was all into
it.
one amp.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice, Brad. David Tompkins. Hi, David.
Hi, David.
Given how important it is for our tones to sit in a mix, how come we so rarely hear the two of you playing together? Rhythm and lead, it's always solo.
It's sometimes to get the amps sounding the way that we want, it's generally two amplifiers, and each amp has got, well, at least one mic on it. But then setting up 4 audio channels and, it's very doable. But when we're demonstrating stuff, we have a thing that switches inputs so that we can just try different guitars and everyone gets to have a play. Doing it where we can jam together, we have to have 2 separate rigs.
2 separate, yeah. I realised something in the comments just recently where there's a lot of people that assume that because there's 2 amps behind us, one of us is playing into one amp and one of us is playing into the other.
Right.
But it's not the case. Both amps are on all the time and it's a single rig. So we'd have to, which would be possible. We have done it in the past. I think also that's the practical reason. The other reason is Dan really likes jamming. I really dislike it. And I think because he's quite good at it and he's happy to explore and sit. I'm not that. I like to work things out and have something, the bones of something to play. So just improvising is just not, I mean, I can sit here and do that, but improvising actual music, I'm woefully unpracticed at it.
You're very good at it, but you don't enjoy it. You'd rather have something worked out. And that's
yeah. I don't, because I have very limited harmonic knowledge, so I end up just playing the same thing, and it always sounds, it's always a dispiriting experience. But if we sat and worked stuff out a little bit, and I don't mean work it out note for note, I mean work out a framework of travel.
Yep.
And some harmonic ideas, so that I enjoy more. And if
when
there's
we do it, when we have the band stuff and stuff,
that I enjoy.
Awesome.
When there's a bass
really
player
fun.
and drummer, I really enjoy doing it in that environment because then you've got something to hang it on, as it were. 2 guitar players. I think it's probably quite, being completely honest about it, seeing as we're talking, there's quite a lot of ego involved in it as well, because, you know, I don't know about you lot, but I'm scrolling Instagram all the time, just seeing amazing guitar player after amazing guitar player after amazing guitar player. And it's not good to compare yourself.
Dude,
it is the route to insanity.
I was at NAMM, and at the 2 Rock night, Aaron Shreve was there. And I went over and I went, oh my God, are you Aaron Shreve? And it's like, oh yeah, Dan, nice to meet you and stuff. And then I said, oh look, text me when you're playing, you know, anywhere at NAMM. And he said, oh, I'll come down to this thing now. And I go down and he's there playing and he hands me a guitar. He goes, come on, man, let's jam. And I just like, it was terrifying. I did it because it's Aaron, but, you know, and then I get up from that and it's like Dylan Adams, the slide player.
Yeah.
And it was just destroying. He was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so, and they're everywhere and they're just popping out of the woodwork. So it is good, but I like just to, you know, I'm old enough now just to not, it's not because I'm old, but I'm not handsome enough to worry about that stuff anymore.
I've never worried about the competitive thing in terms of guitaring, because, I mean, you know, ever since I was 22, 23 years old, 24 years old, you know, I was hanging out daily with the world's best guitar players. So you get the shit kicked out of you
do.
Pretty quickly, trying to compare yourself to those people. But nevertheless, I do like to sound good, and I like to sound semi-prepared.
Yeah, and it is one of those things.
Being over-prepared is just as bad.
Yeah, sure. But it is one of those things with the jams. Like you're plugging into things you don't know, and it's like I've got a really dry sound, and it is. I completely.
And again,
agree.
Rhythm section, just so there's some space. But yeah, we should do it more. It's good when we do it. It's good fun. And when it goes well, of course, there's the producer in me as well, where when we film a show, we probably film for 1 hour and 5, and an hour makes it to the edit, which takes me about 3.5 to 4 hours to edit. If we start jamming, we get another 40 minutes of editing. Yeah. I know, it's terrible, isn't it? It's really bad to...
Ron Leslie says, jamming is sexy. Not the way we do it, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but it is fun. It is fun. But it is I think... I completely agree, like doing the band stuff where there's a purpose to it. But things like, you know, having the 2 rig challenge, we both had a rig set up, it's like, that's, you know, it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But David, you make the point, want to hear how the pedals you play bounce off a rhythm guitar. Yeah, and it's hard, isn't it? Because there's so many contexts for that. You know, what rhythm guitar, what style, who's playing. We say this a lot, you know, tone is one thing, but actually the notes you're playing are far more important in terms of how you sit in a mix. If you want to stay away from each other, play something different. And it's about the music as much as it is the tone, I think. Because if you're both playing the same thing, then
absolutely.
that can be effective in itself, but it's not the normal approach to making pop music anyway, or at least the kind of music we talk about. And then, of course, backing tracks, we tried that for a bit, which kind of, I guess it could work. But yeah, it's sorry, I take the point, David. It's about hearing in a mix. Yes, that does make some sense. Chris Quinn says, Mick, it's because you were playing in psychological time. You are absolutely right, Chris. That is exactly what it is. But again, I'll finish that general point. Very short story. An old band that I was in when I was in my mid-teens, reformed, and we were very close. We played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gigs over a 3 or 4 year period. We were in a van the whole time. We got really tight. We were really there. And there is a sort of cruising altitude that you maintain as a musician when you're in that, which is kind of, it's out of psychological time, Chris. It is complete flow, and you are flowing. And it's been very rare that I've felt it since.
Right.
And obviously when we're in here listening, you can't be listening to tone and have flow. That those two things are totally incompatible. You either have to be in flow or listening to tone, and our job is to listen to tone, right? And it's quite funny because we got together and had a rehearsal again, and over about 8 hours of rehearsing in 2 days, I had about 30 seconds of flow, maybe, just started to feel it a bit.
Right.
And when you start to feel it, you are in a totally different world. If I could turn it on, if I had a switch that could turn on flow, we'd be jamming in here. And if we could both do it, we'd be jamming in here all day, every day.
Yeah.
Because that's where the music comes out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas before that, it's noodling, isn't it? It's going, look, this sounds a bit like this, that sounds a bit like that. He has a moment every now and again in here where he's off, but I find it borderline impossible without a full band
The
at
other
volume.
thing, though, you're keeping your eyes on the audio, and there's so much more stuff that you need to be aware of in here. So it does make it ever so much more difficult for you.
Yeah, and I don't want it to sound like making excuses or false modesty or anything like that. It's not that. It's about the headspace of one activity versus another.
Yeah.
And that's why we say we never film or record the band performances, because I can't be in the headspace to be doing that and performing. It's not possible. Could hire somebody, but it's too expensive. So yeah, and I really hope that doesn't come across as false modesty or whatever. It is about headspace of performance. Because once you felt it, it's so hard.
Completely.
It's so hard to play when you're not feeling it, I guess is what I'd say about that. But, yeah. Simon VRDJ says, the only flow I feel these days is when I get up in the middle of the night for a pee. Yeah. And maybe we protest too much. Maybe we should JFDI, of course.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yep. Well, good. We've tangented massively already.
Someone was asking, what guitar is this? This is a Gretsch red one. It's JT18. I don't know. What's this guitar called, Mick? It's Gretsch.
I want to say it's a G... You've lost me.
Yeah.
I know it's a Player's Edition Player's Edition Jet with Broadtron pickups and stop tail. But the model number I couldn't tell you. I want to say G6112, but I don't think it's that. I think that's the anniversary.
Yeah. It's chambered.
They all are.
And it's
And they always were.
really, really awesome. I'm going to put a Bigsby on it. So I want to go.
It is a Gretsch G6128T. No, not T, because it's not a trem. G6228 Player's Edition Jet BT V Stop Tail. There you go.
Awesome.
I don't know what the difference between the 6128 and the 6228 is.
Pets.
No. Well, one might be flame maple. Yeah.
Yeah. Really
Player's
lovely guitar.
Edition. Player's Edition Jet BT. Hopefully that eventually we got there. Scott Curry. Hi, Scott. Greetings, Leggins. Hope all is well. Mick gave a sneak peek of 2 pedals in the January 24 pedal challenge. Can you elaborate more on them? Yes, I can.
Yes, we can.
One of them is an expanded Mythos Argo. Zach's coming over in 2 weeks.
Yay!
Zach Burrells from Mythos and High Voltage Guitars. He's coming over for us to launch it together. It's very simple. I love the Mythos Argo Cobb style Octafuzz. I was doing a gig with Ainsley Lister and I have to play this solo in one of his lovely songs, and I thought I just want a bit of something extra. So I turned the blend right down to 0, because you can blend in the fuzz and octave, right? and I thought, wow, that is a considerably lovely sounding boost. And then I just knocked it up to about, I don't know, 8, 9 o'clock to get a tiny bit of fuzz octave in this clean sound, and I really liked it. From there on, I started to put it on the board and just turn the fuzz blend knob up and down when I wanted just the boost or the octave fuzz, because having an octave fuzz on your board is hard work. Sometimes if you don't need it, it takes up a load of room and you're not always going to use it. So I said to Zach, could you just turn the fuzz and octave on a different switch and let's have a separate volume control so we can set a boost. So interestingly enough, I was banging through my pedal board at the weekend trying to figure out what I'm going to use for this new project.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a few things on and off, on and off, on and off. I put the KOT on there and listened to the boost, A-B'd it
Right.
with the boost in the 8 million miles away.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, well done. That's amazing.
And that's completely unintentional. So it's just a really nice sounding boost and an octave in one, and that will be coming out later in February. They'll be for sale everywhere, hopefully, but TPS will get the first bunch, which will be printed with the TPS logos and everything. So really pleased about that. And then the other is a prototype of a pedal that Simon Jarrett from Kingsley. Simon's always tweaking, refining. As you know, he's got a whole bunch of valve overdrives and preamp pedals. And sometimes he'll come up with something new and just put it under our noses and say, what do you think of this? And I particularly like this particular one, which is the back end of the Juggler version 3 pared back a bit.
Oh, okay, nice.
So it's kind of that mid-rich, dare I say, D-type overdrive voice, but it's got a load of latitude in the gain and the volume so that you can have it louder and cleaner or actually very saturated.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a couple of different mid. Actually, on the clean sound, with the mid switch one way, you can get pretty tube screamery with it. So he's not sure whether he's going to bring that out or not. And apologies, Simon, if that causes you a problem mentioning stuff that is prototypey, but it's pretty good.
Pretty good. Nice.
As you would expect.
Yeah, of course.
As you would expect. So that's what the two are. And there will be more this year. There's more stuff we're working on, so quite exciting. Quite exciting.
Lovely.
Just see if there's anything's coming. Oboctive, says David Tompkins. Yeah, we did go through what we should call it. Argo Deluxe is what it's going to be called. I think.
Nice. Yeah, that's always been your favourite octaver. But I remember coming in here and you're like, check this out and just use it as a clean boost. And it was just glorious.
Yeah, it's so simple. Someone who's saying, Tight Crusher is saying more fuzz pedals should have an octave switch and a clean blend. Yeah, it just seemed like so obvious and very, very utilitarian.
Yeah. Yeah, because the octave thing is such a cool sound, but to be able to separate them out, because you'd use the boost like all the time and then keep the octave in when the time needs it.
Yeah, if you're going to use it, because it's not something you use on every song, is it?
No.
Well, not something I use on every song. Ghost of Mozart says, I watched an old video of you guys faking a call from Taylor Swift at the start, and it made me spit out my coffee. Hey, what makes you think it was fake is all I'm saying. She owed me 20 quid, I think. Didn't she, from memory?
She did. But then lawyers got involved and it was all really messy.
Yeah.
Paternity.
I had to lend her 20 quid for some juicy fruit. That's what it was. Because she chews a lot of it. And I always make her like go. Go on, Tay Tay, do it for me. Anyway, she never paid me back.
No.
All I get is love and affection by osmosis. I can see it in the videos when she looks at the camera.
You know what she's really
sending me a message.
Yeah, yeah, I get that too. I get that too.
Oh, you need to calm down.
Dormant says she lied. She spent that £20 at Greg's.
Oh, G-Regs.
G-Regs.
Famous English roadside delicatessen. Who won the Grammy, by the way, for Best Album?
I think we all won.
Was it
we?
Bouncy Castle or was it Tay Tay?
Best Album was Bouncy Castle.
Was it?
Yes. Yeah. It's the only one she hadn't won, apparently, and
Have
she
you listened
finally
to
won it. No. No, I'm good.
I don't. think it's anything like the best material she's done
Right.
by a mile.
Okay.
Anyway, what do I know? That might have been Destiny's Child, to be fair. Oh, and then you asked to drive my car, drive it on and don't fill up the tank. And you have the audacity to even come and step to me.
But you
some money from me until
you would
get
listen
your
to that
check
stuff
next
though,
week.
which I've got a lot of respect for, because I
Can't
just
pay my
could
telephone bills,
never do
can't
it.
pay
But
my
you always
audio bills.
you found the music in it,
I love it.
right?
Love
Yes, I
Destiny's
never found the
Child.
music in it.
Just loved it. Well, the hits anyway.
Yeah.
Can you pay my bills? Can't pay my automobiles. If you did, then baby, we could chill.
Because you also listen to
Don't
rap.
think
You did a rap.
Cause you and me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't listen to
But
rap.
no, but what was interesting was that the first time I had ever heard music in it, you said, listen to this, and you played this, like, and it was swinging.
Yeah.
And I did never pick that up.
DJ
before.
Hurricane.
Right.
He was the Beastie Boys DJ.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
There you
whatever. I'm talking like I know what I'm
Moon
talking
says,
about.
listen to what the flower people say. Raga. Same key, I think.
It's funny. I think in guitar world, Airfire says it won best country album when it wasn't a country album. Yeah, I do agree. It's very common among guitar friends to sort of look down on pop music as a sort of lesser form of the art. I think it's the highest form of the art because it's so the production and the approach to getting it nailed is just in another dimension.
Yeah.
I think there's an assumption that it's easy.
Right.
Oh my God, it's just the best of it, that is. I mean, there is some stuff that perhaps doesn't fulfill those criteria. But the best of it is just genius. The vast majority of Taylor Swift's output is flipping genius.
Right.
I think.
Okay.
From a production point of view and a writing point of view.
Yeah.
And orchestration.
I mean, I listen to
sound.
Yeah. When I listen to Billie Eilish and listen to the production on it, it blows my mind. And that's her brother. It's like, how can you have two such talented people?
Is it?
You know. Sorry?
Is it?
Is it his brother? Is it a brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, okay.
It's an open-ended question. It might be. I hope it is. If it is, bowing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Bowing. Good. Anyway, sorry. Moon says, I don't look down, I look away.
Very good. Very good. I like that.
Oh. G. Barge says, I saw Madison Cunningham was there. Now, you see, there is an artist.
Yeah.
Would you call that pop music?
No. What would you call that?
I would call it pop music, but
Okay. Independent.
is it in the charts?
Well-
Manic Street Preachers, 33 consecutive top 40 hits.
That's incredible.
That's
Yeah,
madness, isn't
it's
it?
incredible.
Madness. We'll do madness. Oh God, sorry if you're new, this won't make any sense. Thomas Eichinger. Hi Thomas. Hi Thomas, thank you for your super chat. He says, hello Dian, and hello from Austria.
Oh, greetings.
I gigged my deluxe reverb in AC15 wet dry. Last Saturday, flanger in the dry amp like Dan did it. Vibrato in the wet. It was loud and it was magic. Thanks for the tip.
Our work here is done.
Good work, Thomas.
Student has become the teacher. Well done, buddy.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a pretty great thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've just had some fizzy drink and now it's repeating.
Oh,
on me,
okay.
which was a bit daft. Fender Jeff says, any recommendations for a fuzz pedal or type for P90s? I'm looking for a solo tone from the bridge into cleanish amp. I need to cut through the mix for live band use.
Oh, interesting. So, okay. I would say for P90s, have a look at a tone bender variant. They're very good with the mids and work well with P90s and humbuckers. I mean, they work great with anything, but P90s and humbuckers they're really good at. But there's enough mid-range in there, and of course the P90 will give you that mid-forward sound anyway. But yeah, I think a tone bender variant will be very good. But then again, grab a GE7, stick it into the front of a Big Muff, kick the mids in. That's a great sound as well. But you can find some tone bender variants. I think that'll work really well with that, and will give you a lovely, sizzly, proper fuzz tone.
Yeah.
You know, but still work really well.
There's a fine line, isn't it, between a really edgy, gritty distortion like a Rat in its full, most aggressive setting, or something like the Thorpe Warthog, or, you know, there are various distortion pedals that can get fuzzy and a proper fuzz. Scott Curry is saying the Astrotone by Analog Man.
Astrotone by Analog Man is incredible.
Yeah, I've never actually heard one. What's it based on, do you know?
It's the old... he did tell me he's got the old. It's not the Scrambler. It's something else. Yeah, it's really wonderful. I'll see if Mike will send us one for a show, and we'll send it back to him. It's a very, very cool sounding fuzz. I do want to do a show on fuzzes that you may have never heard of, because there's some other.
Oh my god, there's so many.
There's so many, but I think some really important things like, where's the? I must be out there, like the Pepto fuzz, and then there's the the Ampeg Scrambler, and then things like the wedge that anyway, there's a whole bunch that are amazing, are unique circuits, and people should know about them.
I would also add a Fender Jeff. Hudson Broadcast.
Oh yeah.
So the dual switch Hudson Broadcast gives you the lovely boost on side one, or you can gain it up a bit if you want, and it gives you really, really great fuzz on side two, and lots of it is variable, i.e. you can vary the amount of fuzz, but I think it's very friendly, very easy to get along with, works at a range of voltages so you can get headroom that you like. And it is, I don't know where you are, you're in the US, here they're very affordable for a boutique pedal. I don't know, maybe in the US they're a little bit more, but certainly check out the Hudson Broadcast, which isn't a traditional fuzz as you would think about it, but it makes a beautiful fuzzy noise.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's also, they've released the Duo Fuzz.
Yes.
As well.
Shaftesbury Duo Fuzz.
Yeah. So it'd be really, I think it'd be a really fun show.
That's a good shout.
I'll give that Analog Man a shout.
The only thing I would say to avoid Fender Jeff is a fuzz face type, because unless you specifically want the fuzz face sound, which is all its own thing, big woolly bass, and super, super crazy sensitive off the volume control, you might want that. If that's what you want, go for a fuzz face type. But I agree with Dan that it's kind of a bit more, it's less Jimmy and more Mick Ronson to be thinking about a tone bender.
Yeah.
If that in any way helps.
Yeah, but if you're P90s, you're there anyway.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck, mate. Let us know how you get on.
David Pekarski. Yes, sorry. David Pekarski. Hi, David. How you doing? Hope you're well, mate. He says, just came up on the KOT waitlist. The fabled Analog Man King of Tone waitlist, which is now, by the looks of things, 7 years long.
Oh, no way. That's amazing.
I completed my order, and I'm just thrilled to wait a few more weeks. Thanks for all you do in sharing these fun noise crayons. Congrats. It is a rite of passage.
It's
the King of Tone.
Well, we had this on a bunch of our earlier shows, and we haven't used it for a while, but put it back on the board because it's such a cool sounding thing.
Yeah, I was going through a whole bunch of stuff at the weekend, and I plugged mine in, and it was like,
Yeah, it's a cool thing, right? It is. It really is.
It is unique in its
Yeah.
clarity, presentation. I don't want to start talking about slew rates and things like that because it could all get complex, but the way it delivers the note at the clarity it delivers it, but with the playability, is unique.
Yep.
Is unique and very, very Moorish, I would say. Because it might not be the slew rate, it's probably a whole load of other things. Good on you, David. Hope you enjoy that. Eric Zenhausen. Hi, Eric. He says, thanks for a previous recommendation for the Robin Ford chord course. You mean Robin, who was here earlier? That's who you mean, is it?
Yeah, our mate Robin.
I've done that. I've not done all of it. I've done about 2/3 of it. That course. Any recommendations for online audio engineering courses?
Oh.
I'm beginning user of Reaper. Years back, Dan mentioned reamping. Could you do a possible show or vlog? Yeah, reamping is kind of interesting.
I have been meaning to do a show on reamping for the longest time.
Well, let's do that
I'm
then.
such a silly person for not doing it because it's a really cool thing. Also, I've worked out a way, right, with my single ISO cab, I've worked out a way to record a stereo guitar sound properly. It's really cool.
From a single cab.
Yeah. Doing the reamping stuff.
Oh, I see.
So, shall I tell you?
Yeah.
No? Is it very dull?
Yeah, I know. Go on.
Right. So, I get my stereo sound that I would normally use. One side goes into the cab and mics it. The other side goes into the reampiness. And as long as I do it like four things so I can line things up, I then take the recorded other side out, reamp that back into the box, but I do it, put it through the same effects,
Right.
and then I get the other side, and then I record it, and then when I line them up, I get my stereo thing.
Because you don't have to...
Because exactly.
So, thingy boxes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to record two at once. So I was like, okay, I've got a single box. How do I do this?
So why don't you just make 10 louder?
But it's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's, well, there's a practical example of what we could use reamping for then. Yeah. I mean, equally, you could send your other side off to an amp sim and then fix the latency afterwards, but
Why
it
would I do that?
wouldn't be the same sound.
It wouldn't. It's not. It's.
You want the same
I want
sound.
I want my stereo. I want my stereo-ness through my matchless or whatever else I'm recording, and so I take the reamp. I split the signal before it goes into the board.
Yeah.
And then I record that, and then I play that back into the board, but record the other side, and then I just line them up with the clicking, and it's
Nice.
really great.
Audio engineering courses, Eric. I don't.
You won't learn that on.
They must exist. They must exist, and I'm sorry that I don't know of one specifically. I would delve into the archives of a magazine called Sound on Sound, which is a British magazine
Brilliant.
that has been going for decades, and is the sort of Bible for that world. And it might be that via their portal, via their website, via their recommendations, they'll point you towards courses, because I'm sure I've seen things like that advertised. The other one to check out is Tape Op magazine in the US. And Tape Op is a really great magazine with similar, I don't know if they've been going quite as long, or maybe they have, excuse my ignorance, but a vast archive of really interesting stuff to delve into. I don't know of any specific courses. Maybe someone can suggest in the chat. They will exist. Might even be that if you were really into it, might even be the kind of thing you could go to night school for. Like additional learning.
Yeah,
that must exist.
They do it here at college level. Then, like from there, it's about doing internships and, you know, that's sort of, what do they call them? An apprenticeship, and, you know, trying to get into a studio and carry the tea. And
yeah, I think I'm assuming, Eric, you're of an age where going into a studio as an intern isn't probably very likely.
Gordon Rankin says Tape-Op is free, just got the latest issue.
I wish it was free. I subscribed because I was trying to read some interviews on there. I could never get the interviews. They're still bloody taking my money, and I cannot cancel my damn subscription. So if anyone from Tape-Op is watching, help.
There you go.
It's costing me $6 a month for a website that I can't use, having just recommended them. Gordon's saying it's free, so I've obviously made some horrific mistake there. Graham says, Mick, what guitars did you sell to get your 335? It's a 345, and I sold a Collings 360. I sold Blue, my Strat. I sold a Casino. I sold an Supro guitar. I sold a couple of amps and some other stuff. Yeah, sold quite a lot of stuff, which felt good and cathartic. I want to do it again as it goes. I want to get right down to 2 or 3, maybe 4 guitars, but electric ones anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I was sad to see Blue go, but you weren't. You don't get attached like that.
No. I just, despite having this insane collection of stuff that we have, I struggle having instruments that never get played.
Dude, I love this.
Yeah.
This is really nice.
Yeah.
I'm actually digging the lacquered neck. It's it's Japanese made one.
Won't be lacquer.
Sorry, the plastic.
Yeah.
The polished plastic neck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great guitar. It's a fantastic guitar. It's got has a sound all its own. We were just talking about it earlier. It's got quite a dip mid-range and almost like natural compression from the guitar. It's like the perfect rock rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
Classic rock rhythm.
No, I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it.
It's a great.
All my favourite guitars are red.
Machine. Yeah, you like red guitars,
I do
don't
like
you?
red guitars.
There's only one red guitar I like.
Light red.
Oh, that made my hand hurt.
Oh yeah. Mike Blue says, have you gotten your hands on a Panoverb yet? No, but I did see one at NAMM and they do look amazing.
Wouldn't mind a pan of rye. It's a watch. Or a pan of raisin at this point. Pastry. Lots of people are saying, including BV, Warren Hewitt produced like a pro.
Yes, very good.
Warren's an English guy relocated to the US and does a very nice YouTube channel covering all the things you were talking about, Eric, in terms of learning about audio engineering. Yeah. Lords of Form says, red guitars play faster. It's a fact.
They do. They do. I'm going to do all my new band with just red guitars. Actually, to be fair.
The red
Most of my
guitar
guitars
band.
anyway.
RGB. The designers among you will appreciate that. My friend Patrick Eggle, who may be your friend Patrick Eggle as well. Patrick Eggle, the guitar
I met him
maker.
once.
He's lovely.
What a lovely guy.
He's a super guy, Pat. His band was called the Guitar Bastards. And I've wanted to steal it. Isn't it? What a great name. I wonder what this band's going to be. I know exactly what this band's going to be. Sebastian Strodbeck. Hello, Sebastian. Lovely to hear from you. And thanks for your super chat. He says, do you think the Duelist, the Kingtone Duelist, I do believe Jesse lost his place in the fires.
Oh, no.
Jesse Davey.
Oh, no.
I think.
Man.
And I'm sorry if I've got that wrong, but Jesse, among the turmoil of that happening, if indeed it has happened and you get to see this, we hope you're okay, mate. And, anything anyone can do to help get those people back on their feet Anyway, Jesse Davey, Kingtone, another English guy relocated to the States, makes awesome pedals and a very fine guitar player as well. This is probably BV confirming or denying whatever I've just alleged.
Just while Mick says that, Gordon Rankin says, Dan, how about the MXR Rockman 100? Yes, it's true, it exists, and it sounds unbelievable.
They've done the Rockman, have they?
They've done the Rockman.
With chorus?
It's the Rockman. It's exactly the Rockman with the all 100% analog, with all the controls of the Rockman, just with a foot switch and in and outs that you can play guitar into.
Yes.
It is wicked.
Yes. Anyway, Sebastian Strojbeck wants to know if the Kingtone Duelist would be a good choice for his Soldano SLO, which he doesn't use the overdrive channel for my Strat and Les Paul. Thanks for all your know-how and entertainment. Funnily enough, the Duelist was another pedal I was hammering through at the weekend. And it is essentially there's been various versions over the years, but at heart it is a tube screamer alike on one side and a blues breaker alike on the other.
Okay.
And it has switches for all the things that annoy you about the standard blues breaker and tube screamer. So internally there are some options as well, but on the top panel fat stock and glass settings for each. String Singer is the TS side, Heavy Hand is the Blues Breaker side, and it's a remarkable sounding thing. I very, very, very nearly put it on my board again, but in News of the Century, Dan, I don't want any more tube screamers.
Oh my goodness.
For the time being, I'm tiring of that sound just for a moment.
Okay.
Obviously, it's amp dependent. The Two Rock's got loads and loads of mid in it, so you add loads more mid and you just end up sounding like Carlos Santana, which some people like, I don't like at the moment. Obviously, I'm never going to sound like Carlos Santana, but you know what I mean, that very mid-focused sound. Anyway, do we think it would be good for your SLO? Yeah, I mean, the SLO clean channel, from what I can remember, is very high headroom clean. Some of them have a crunch mode, depending on which SLO you've got. But yeah, that would work great. Blues Breaker just works with everything.
Yeah, it's a very cool sound.
Just a brilliant sound.
Have you, I guess this is one to get into, but with the old Blues Breaker that you bought, and we tried that against a few modern Blues Breakers, and that thing has a thing.
Easily my favourite sounding Blues Breaker pedal.
Why? I don't get it.
Yeah. Okay. Do we think it would be a good choice? Yes, we do. We might need to hear a bit more information. So for some people, the TS sound is just too mid-humpy, and some people just don't like the way it's got that throaty, well, if you want to know, it's between 500 and 700 hertz hump. And a sort of, the good news about the Duelist is that you can add on some top end back in the glass setting. So it's a nice present version of that sound, but depending on what guitar you've got, it might just be too mid-rangey for you. We would both agree that Blues Breaker in standard form and in modded form, whether you come all the way to the King of Tone, which is a long, long way away from a Blues Breaker, you can just use it with anything as a great all-round overdrive. Yeah. So yeah, as a 2-in-1, as long as you like that mid-hump sound, which might be useful for your Strat, if you just want a bit more thickness, I think it would be a great choice. Yeah. Hang on. Now, where were we going? We were going on a tangent there.
Just saying why the original non-modded version just has a thing. There's definitely, you play it and it's like, whoa, there's something going on there. That's very cool.
Okay, I've got a theory.
All right, let's go.
Here's my theory.
Subscribe now to hear Mick's theory.
It's a here's my theory. It's a theory, right? It's a working theory. It's a combination of motivated cognition and cognitive stress. Motivated cognition is how...
Okay, I can slash both those with a mind sword.
Yeah, motivated cognition is how most of us understand most things. We want to believe it, so we do. That's where most of us understand most of what we know about the world because we want to believe what we do. There's very little critical thinking that actually goes on. It does exist in really good science, but that's extremely rare as well.
Weird science. Boom, boom.
A lot of science is governed by motivated cognition to a lesser or greater degree. So on the one hand, we want, in our case, the blues breaker to sound better because it's simpler.
I don't agree with that.
Easier to understand.
don't.
It's an element of it. And even that, Dan, if you read old Daniel Kahneman's book on heuristics and biases, you're not in control of any of it. You don't even know that those heuristics are at work.
Interesting.
It's completely subconscious, those kinds of biases. So that might, and we all do it every day for every single decision you ever make. It's just, you are biased. That's what it is. So that might be like 20% of it.
Mm.
It might be 50, it might be 80. Let's say it's 20%. I reckon the other bigger part is about cognitive stress. Cognitive stress is what happens when what your brain wants to do is cognitive ease.
Right.
So it will always attempt to simplify.
Okay.
My favourite example is political, but I'm not going to give it because obviously of everything that's going on in the world. What your brain tries to do is substitute an easier question.
Okay.
What's the best guitar for me? Yeah?
Right.
Your brain's like, I can't deal with that question because it's too complicated. I'm going to substitute it for what guitar do I like?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Understand?
I do.
So your brain is always looking to simplify. And I think if you're, maybe not you so much, but if you're me, if I look at a pedal with 8 knobs and 10 switches, my brain's going, I can't possibly decide which one of those options I like the best.
Mm.
This one has got 3 knobs, on and off. Therefore, I have a high level of cognitive ease and 0 cognitive stress because there are no other options.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not looking at it going, oh God, I wonder if the glass setting will be better. I wonder if the deep setting would be better. I wonder if diode clipping is better than LED clipping.
Yeah, okay.
And again, it could be subconscious or at least unconscious. And it's taking your mind off of what it is you're actually supposed to be doing, which is playing the guitar and being creative.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think the reason we think reason 1, it sounds better. Reason 2, a mix of motivated cognition and cognitive stress.
Okay. Okay, let's say, yes, all that. On the day, with all the really cool things there, you can't tell me that one just didn't sound better. Sonically.
I think it did, but I'm saying that the unconscious reasons for you arriving at that decision.
No, I don't. You have sat in that chair when I've had a board together, going through all the things that sound good, and you've gone, oh, that's good. And it was...
Oh yeah, I mean, I can tell. If he's in there playing, I can always tell what is the thing and what is not the thing. I can literally always tell.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's purely that.
Right.
I'm saying it is a significant influence.
Okay, that's fine.
I guess what I'm also saying is I think you could tweak that heavy hand in a blind test to sound utterly indistinguishable from the original Blues Breaker.
Right. Jeff McAlane's in. G'day, buddy. Hope you're awesome.
I think I'm really interested in this because having been a guitar journalist for many years and then doing this, Dan and I get accused of being biased all the time. So I've read a lot of books on bias and I've looked into psychological factors of bias. I've looked into neurological factors of bias and read...
I just looked it up on Wikipedia.
Quite a few
just
books
to work out what it is.
to try and understand what it means and how it works. And I would say that humans are far better off accepting that you are biased and mitigating that
Right.
than trying to say, no, I'm objective, and believing that you're objective, because we're just not. We're just not. Not when it comes to stuff like sound. There's no objectivity.
Right.
It's all subjectivity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Purely subjective.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put it on a scope and measure it and objectively see a difference, but you might not be able to hear that difference because your physiology is different. And I'm sort of fascinated by that. The long way around which is saying it is okay just to like what you like and not worry about it too much. Isn't it?
I agree completely. There's, for whatever reason, we both have new projects that we're doing at the moment, right? And going through and finding the gear that I'm going to use for that project, I'm not interested in anything else except getting it right.
Okay, I'd like to conduct an experiment of you where we A/B some pedals at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, this is good.
Before breakfast.
Okay.
Just after lunch.
All right.
And then in the evening.
No, just about supper time. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's do that. That'll be fun.
Famous example of this, big study of parole judges in the US. If your parole case comes up just after lunch instead of just before, you are far more likely to be granted parole.
Is that real?
In the study.
Oh my goodness.
Now, in that study, let's just say that.
Yep. Okay.
But it's an example of unconscious biases and heuristics that affect every single decision that you make all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yep. Okay.
And it just is.
Okay.
Which blues breaker did we like the best? The original one. Why? Who knows? Because it sounds the best, maybe.
This thing's great.
Overthinking? I don't know. Dobiog says, I've got an MSc in psychology and spent years working in scientific publishing. The answer is almost always somewhere in the middle. Bit of bias and also some truth. I mean, that sounds pretty logical, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty logical.
3 chords and some bias and some truth.
Seth Rose says, it's not a passive loop. We can influence our unconscious biases. Yes, we can. But in order to influence them, you have to know that they're there. And the vast majority of humans won't even go there.
Oh, Robert Lewis says, possibly the original BB sounds better because you have to run it wide open to match most of the modern variants. That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything is like, because it's so quiet, you got to have it cranked. I like that.
Yeah. Who paid for the study? Says Duncan Plexcoat. That is an exceptionally important question in every study. Yeah. Lots of people coming in. Blind test, says Tight Crusher. Yeah, I think blind tests are fraught with their own set of problems.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking about stuff constantly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I hope I don't get this wrong.
I mean, taking away the knowledge of what the product is, I guess that's a true test of sorts. But again, trying to listen and pass an opinion is totally divorced from actually connecting and performing in music.
Yes.
I don't know how to square that circle.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I can't listen to something and decide if I'm connecting with it. I have to play it for 2 months and find that if there is a connection. So it will never be, I prefer the sound of that to that. It will be, I've played this for a couple of months and I can connect with that and I can't connect with that.
Yeah.
But I can't necessarily explain why.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Anyway. Michael Krause, I do admit to pretending to adjust something on the mixer and the person says it sounds better.
Slee Sklar.
Yeah.
You know about his switch?
Yeah.
So for you guys that don't know, Lee Sklar, astonishing session bass player, played with everyone, and on his bass he had this little switch installed that did nothing, which he called the producer's switch. And the producer would say, can you just put a little bit more thing? He goes, oh yeah, here we go. You put the switch in, he'd just play, change his hand position or something, and they just go, oh yeah, that's it, that's exactly right.
Yeah, the old test. Noise Bloom says science is objective. We are not. It just isn't always. It's very rare, actually. Good science is objective, but it's rare because it's usually paid for by somebody. Yeah. Eagle Ray Rob, many an eyewitness swears they saw something that they didn't. Yeah. Anyway, let's get off of this. Apologies. Yeah. Tight Crusher says blind tests don't help sell gear. If you think we're in the business of trying to sell gear, you haven't been watching very long. Yeah, we're not in that game. We're not in that game. Hobo Roadie.
G'day, mate.
That all came off a question about the duelist.
It came with that question about the duelist, when I'm thinking, okay, what I need to do now is put the Kingtone back on my board.
Yeah. Hobo Roadie. Can we explain to the TPS viewers how the front end of a custom Pete Highwatt has something called a master volume for when you are not attempting TPS tone, but in fact live 2 blocks from the police station, even with KT88s?
Okay.
Custom Pete Highwatt master volume. I don't know it well enough, Hobo Roadie.
No.
Is that something? Is that a mod? I mean, our Highwatt, which is a 73 DR103, you know, like full beans.
The full beans.
Harry Joyce signed Highwatt. I mean, that is the.
'Tis the one.
The large cheese. It has a master volume, which was pretty unusual for an amp in 1973.
Right.
I believe.
They were just starting to come in, weren't they? So the first of the Fender JMPs, they were still.
I want to say 78, wasn't it?
No, they were 73. They're still doing non-master ones, but they was starting to come through in the mid-70s. I know because I had a JMP 50, which is like apparently the last of the non-master volumes. Which
75.
Is 75, there you go.
Sorry for my sniffing, I've got a bit of a cold. 75 was the first master volume then. Yeah, it does put it out, the Highwatt. It puts it out in a specific manner. But as to your specific question, I'm afraid I don't have the knowledge to answer. Do you, Daniel?
I don't. I'll need to have a look into that. It's the Pete Townsend model. Is this the 200 watt one?
I'm typing it into Googlage.
Okay. Because indeed,
okay, customized. Yeah, don't know. We just don't know. I'm sorry, Hobo Roadie, for your very generous
we'll
question.
find out.
We don't know what the answer is.
We'll find out. Hobo Roadie says custom Pete is like a sound CD with 4 input volume knobs. Primitive mixer master on the right. Okay.
Yeah. Renan Silva wants to know, open or close back? When do you use them and why? Especially wet dry.
Ooh.
I never use closed back cabs.
I very rarely use them. If there's a specific, there's a couple of 2x12 Marshall cabs that we have out there that are really magic sounding closed back cabs, but they
were the ones that look like mini 412s,
yeah,
not the 1922. It's the
and they do sound great, but I would only ever use that in conjunction with an open back cab.
yeah.
And you know, the open back cabs for me, just in the rooms that we play,
Yeah.
which tend to be smaller and you want to fill a bit more of the room, they just work a bit better.
Yeah, last thing I ever need in my guitar sound is more bass thump,
Yeah,
because I don't play music that requires it, and I like the sound coming out of all of the cabinet, back and front, because it just sounds more spacey to me. But of course, if you're looking at what you're looking at behind us here, it's got to be a closed back 412. That's the sound. But the couple of possible, we do have a Mesa TL, is it? TL cabinet, which is a closed back ported design, designed to sound massive in a small box. So that's perhaps one thing you might want to think about. Various companies do them, but yeah, for me and Dan, it's always 2 open back cabs or combos.
Yeah,
isn't it? Pretty much
completely.
always. I like the sound of it all over the place. Yeah. By the way, if anyone wants to know what this is the new Marshall 1959 MO1, the new modified Plexi. We might do a show with it tomorrow. It's really good. It's really, really good.
How does it like that cab?
Yeah, it's fine. It was the super bass was too much for it, but
Really?
that likes it. There's 25 watt greenbacks in that cab, and there's a point where they don't really want to go anymore. Because obviously you'd want 2 412s really with a 100 watt Marshall, but those days are...
Have you ever done that?
Yeah. Not at a gig.
I've never done it.
Not at a gig.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah, but never done it live, but I have done it. Anyway, it's really good because you've got the switchable bright cap. There's a bit of extra gain in it if you want, and a master volume, a really good master volume. Sounds killer.
Awesome. Let's do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we've also got a 2525, the Silver Jubilee Studio head.
Did I tell you about Marshall's stand at NAMM?
Yeah, you said it was really good.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It was absolutely brilliant. It was like Marshall, the days of old. My first NAMM is what I wanted the Marshall stand to be.
Yeah.
Where they're all their old amps and people go and check out this behemoth. Isn't this wild? And there was a YouTuber, a metal guy, who was there hosting people around. It was really awesome.
Right, an American one or a British one?
There's an American guy, I think. He picked up he became a Marshall endorsee the day before the show or something.
Oh yes.
And but it was really great. It was really great seeing him there.
Yeah. I also think that volume is a huge part of that open and closed back
Yes.
debate, and I have a question about how much any of these things are making a difference at the sort of volumes most people are playing at now, because you hear these big differences when the thing is loud, right? And you hear stuff like tubes, and you hear all kinds of things much more clearly when it's loud. You know, you really hear the difference between a tube screamer and a blues breaker at 110 dB. Can you hear it at 78 dB? Yeah, but less so. And I think how a cab performs when the amp's really barking is completely different to how it performs at a quieter level. So I think it's probably all about your relative volume level and also the rooms you play in.
Sure.
The amount of reflected sound, how far you stand away from the amp, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
A moving target, I guess, is what I'm saying. Lewis says, Mick, I'm currently reading The Power of Now, finding real value in its ideas. In your mind, how do you watch the thinker? And any advice on remaining consistent with mindfulness? I could talk for hours about this, Lewis. I'm not going to, because everyone will get bored. if you can get your head around the basic difference between psychological time and conscious presence, that will answer that question for you. So any thinking you do, any in your head, it's psychological time. And in the case of psychological time being negative, which it usually is, I gave mine a name, called it Kevin, with apologies to all the Kevins. And so for me, watching the thinker, I was watching Kevin. And I'd make Kevin go and stand in the corner and shut his mouth.
Bloody Kevin.
Yeah, I would say, Kevin, shut up. With apologies to all the Kevins. So that's how I did it. I gave it a name. And that's how I watch the thinker. And it works to this day. I'm 6 years in, still moving forward with it.
Nice.
For what it's worth, I do think that he's top of the tree. I think he's got it. He's got it. The second book is really good as well when you're ready for it. But yeah, give it a name. Incessant unconscious thinking is insanity. Give it a name. Stick it in the corner. And tell it to shut up. Also, more prosaically, concentrate intently on what you're doing right now at this moment. Whatever that might be.
Yeah, nice.
Walking across the room, picking up a teacup, typing a letter, whatever it is you're doing right now, bring your attention fully to that.
Mm-hmm.
If you can always do that, your suffering will be greatly reduced. Good luck. It's very hard. Dan, Brian Carpenter.
Yes, Brian.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, Brian.
He says, have you played Red and Danish Pete's Purple Telly side by side?
Yes.
I'd like to get a Monty set for my Player 2 telly. Curious of the differences.
Right. We did a guitar breaks in Italy many moons ago with Danish Pete. And I bought Red and Danish Pete bought his Purple Telly. And that Purple Telly is a fun telly to play. It was really fun.
He brought it in here once as well, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Really lovely guitar. But it has the fundamental thing that Maple Tellys have that Red doesn't have, and it has the mids are in a different place in Red, which is where I need them. But I did love playing Pete's guitar. It's really great. I prefer where the mids sit in Red. They're a little bit... If I'm doing a solo on Red, I rarely need... If I'm on the bridge pickup, I don't really need to hit a mid boost. I can boost it, just a full frequency boost, but there is so much forward mids in Red. If I have a maple guitar, quite often I would need a little bit of a kick in the mids. And I found that with Pete's guitar. But, you know, it's hairs, and that was just my experience.
Yeah.
Also, I play much heavier strings.
Yeah.
You know, so that's all.
Yeah,
all part of it.
the more classic all-round telly tone is more scoop than Red, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It is. It's scoopier, twangier, but Dan goes up a string gauge. The guitar itself's got more mids and more throat. And if you roll that tone back, which he doesn't do, but if you do that every now and again, close your eyes, you could be listening to a Les Paul some days.
Yeah, sure.
It's got that much girth to it.
Yeah.
You would have to take off some of the top end, but it's a remarkable guitar. So what you're saying is, should you get the Monty set for your Player 2? It's so hard to say, isn't it? It's so hard to say because you don't know how it's going to react to that guitar.
Yeah, they are wonderful sounding pickups, and I mean, we did have them in a maple neck telly, and they sounded really great. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's to be honest, Matt's Silver Sparkle telly,
sparkly one probably sounded better than Red.
I don't know about better, but it sounded it retained its kind of springy. I'm trying not to.
I know, it's so hard.
It's so hard. I'm really trying not to be reductive and say things like maple neck telly sounds like this, but the sound we associate with that springy 50s kind of sound, actually his has a rosewood board on it, doesn't it? It's a pine body is what I'm thinking of.
That's right.
Whatever, it's a springy sound. It was a springier sounding guitar before the new pickups, and it remained a springy sounding guitar after.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the guitar's always going to sing through, I think. It did. The point being, which was we tried to make very clear in the video, it didn't sound exactly like Red, because we're well aware that the rest of the guitar makes a difference too.
It honestly, if you've watched a video and someone says that the guitar doesn't make any difference and the only thing is the pickups, it's not true. Leave it alone.
Yeah. 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 I know. I just don't want to go there. Right, moving along. Yes. Right, sorry. Andre DJ says, hi D&M, thanks for all the years of TPS. I have a Marshall JTM 60.
Nice.
1x15, wow, from the mid-90s. There's very little and misleading information about this series. What's the story behind them? Well, I don't know what the story is. I know there was a JTM 600 as well, or at least there was a JCM 600. Some 600, my friend Eki had one.
Right.
But the 60s, yeah, I don't know. I've just Googled it. Yeah, literally.
I didn't even know Marshall had a 15-inch amp.
Yeah, well, there was various. There was a 212. There would have been a 112 as well, almost certainly. Actually, I think Eki's might be JTM 60. I think you might be right. Yeah, I just don't know. I suppose if they're mid-90s, then they're going to be... had DSL come out by then?
Mid-90s?
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
So DSLs would have existed, because you had GSM 800, that was a step change. GSM 900, which was the first of the 3-channel amps, I think. DSL simplified it back again a bit. So the JTM 60 looks like, just looking at it, and I apologise if this is adding misinformation, looks like an attempt by Marshall to do something broadly more vintage.
Yeah.
In 50-watt format by the looks of things. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have... Maybe someone's coming into the chat to talk about it. But yeah, I don't know, I'm afraid. I think, I want to say my friend Eki's was a 3x10 or something mad. But I could be misremembering. Could have been... Oh yeah, JTM 60, 3x10 combo amp. There you go, it did exist.
Oh, wow, that's wicked.
Yeah. It did exist. Here you go. It looks green, it's not green. Actually, it might be green. Anyway, yeah, I'm really sorry. We don't know more about them. I would have thought there's a Marshall history page somewhere that would have some information. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else was going on in the mid-90s. I have very poor knowledge of all of that. Johnny T saying, I got mine new in 95, 96. Yeah, I don't know. It's the less Marshall sounding amp that I have.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's got reverb, has it? Can't see the front panel. Master, boost, volume. Oh no reverb. Yeah, so apologies we can't shed more light on that, Andre. Maybe some information will come through in the regular chat. Jim B.
Hey, Jim B.
Sat on the sloop, Jim B. My grandmother and me. It's the alternative universe version.
Is that Beach Boys?
Yeah, Sloop John B.
Yeah, that's right. I wanna go home.
Actually, I want to go home. It's meat feast time, Dan. Almost.
It is.
Hey,
I'm so looking
DNM,
forward
says
to it.
Jim B. Jimmy be good. Jim says, hey DNM, have you done a show on effect interaction between two or more guitars? Is there a best practice? I'm thinking delay and modulation mostly. Okay, so are you saying that if there's two guitars in your band and maybe you've both got delays and or modulation on, and how do you deal with that? I'm taking that to be the question.
I like that.
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah.
Just, well,
You haven't got to worry about things like phase cancellation per se.
no.
Because you're not playing exactly the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean there won't be interesting phase relationships, interesting things that happen when the two sounds mix.
They love each other. But then they just want to be friends.
Have you ever come across any of that in the two guitar bands you've
Oh,
played?
yeah, completely.
Or do you always kick the other guy out?
No. It's, well, okay, so being in a band with Dave Gregory for 10 plus years, it was, yeah, I learned a lot because that was the first time I was ever in a band with another guitar player. And it was fascinating. So Dave's sound was much more middlier than mine. So he had to be careful about the amount of delay that he used. But because I was doing a lot of the texture stuff, because we didn't have any keys, so doing the texture stuff, I could have quite a thick sound, and it just gave Dave a bed to work on. So it comes down to function and roles. You know, go and listen to any two guitar band and, you know, AC/DC or Guns N' Roses or, you know, whatever. There's a role that they have, and it's easy to, it's easy to get the balance off. But with two guitars, you do need to be a little more considered and take your time and make sure you get it right. Record what you're doing. Just stick your phone down or stick a recorder down. Make sure when you listen back that you can hear everything. But then if you're Dinosaur Jr., it doesn't really matter. Just stick your tape delay on and away you go. But understand your role and what you're trying to do. If you're Mr. Ethereal and making those sorts of noises, then you want to fill up the place with swirly goodness, then yeah, lots of that stuff.
It's such good fun if you can, if you and the other guitar player have a good relationship. And I forget that not all bands have great relationships, and sometimes bands don't even talk to one another. They just turn up, grunt at one another, and go home again. And there isn't any true communication. If you have some communication with the other guitar player, it's so much fun working it out properly between you.
Yeah.
Getting the parts right so that you're playing as one. You're not playing against one another, and you both know exactly what you're doing. And that being the case, you won't have any problem with what you're talking about.
And the same thing goes for sound.
Yeah.
Sonically, it's not just the parts. You need to work out what's going on sonically. Now, you can get away with a lot more if the parts you're playing are separate. For example, if you know, one's doing rhythm up here, the other goes down here, you know, you have a lot more latitude. But if you're both there, you know, riffing away on A, you need to be a little bit more careful about who's stepping on whose toes. Or not. or disregard it completely.
Yeah. But basic stuff like phase cancellation and all that, you shouldn't need to worry about because you won't be playing exactly the same thing at the same time. So, yeah, we could look at it. We could look at it. But more prosaically, if you've got two delays that are out of time with one another badly, and they're very loud in the mix and they're messing up the beat of the music, that's a problem. If they're very loud, but what tends to happen is delay sort of sits underneath and it goes away, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But if if you're both trying to play a rhythmic delay pattern specifically, like you've both got a dotted eighth and you're trying to play a specific rhythmic pattern where the dotted eighth is in time and those are off, that's an issue. One of you's using a rotary speaker, one of you's using a harmonic tremolo, you should just get this lovely wash and it should just sound massive and stereo, as opposed to fighting with each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed completely.
Yeah. Simon VRDJ. Hi, Simon.
Hello,
he says,
Simon.
hey there, D&M. Imagine you get two important letters in the post. One is from His Majesty King Charles. A gong from His Majesty King Charles. Second, an honorary doctor title from a prestigious university for services to journalism and electronics. You can pick only one, knighthoods included. Would you rather a doctorate for services in electronics or journalism, or would you like a gong from Charles, which I'm assuming is a knighthood or a MBE or an OBE?
Oh, I'll go with doctorate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Being Australian, I don't have a thing with the royal family.
Mm.
We class system was a complete anathema growing up in Australia. The only class in Australia is money. It is the only thing. So getting over here and hearing the posh accents and the beaten up Land Rovers and stuff, and it's like, it was weird.
Yeah.
So I really don't have any. So yeah, I'd much rather go to a cool university
And get the doctorate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. I do have friends that are MBEs and OBEs.
Oh, well, Thorpe.
Thorpe's an MBE.
And that's amazing.
Yeah, I have other friends who are as well. I don't have any friends that are knighted, I don't think. But
so what is a knighthood? You become a knight of the round table.
it's when you're allowed to be called sir.
Oh, that's a knighthood. Okay. Well, people call me sir anyway.
I think. And then, I don't know what else it means. Some other crap. Probably give you a bunch of land and some money, do they?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Some M&S vouchers. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have to buy a pair of those red or mustard coloured trousers and drive a knackered old 4x4.
Yep, and have your eyebrows on your cheeks and all that stuff.
And walk around Waitrose going, where are the bloody baskets? Which is what you'll hear at our local Waitrose.
I'm in for that.
Have you got any foie gras?
Oh, no. I only found out how they make that the other day.
It's
Awful.
It's awful. Obviously the university.
Moon says the only
Obviously.
classes in Australia are surfer and non-surfer. That's right. Indeed.
Yeah. But I'd probably put on my Sid Vicious kit, stick my finger up and deny all of the above as
that'd be great.
as a rejection of the bourgeoisie. That's no, I wouldn't. I would, rather than be given it, I would actually love to do the work for a doctorate. I would love to do the work for a doctorate.
Yeah, no, me too.
But having the time and the brain is another matter. In something really, worthwhile, like fast food studies or how much wine can I drink in a week? Thank you for the question, Simon. Yeah. Reeves, electro guitar pedals. Marcus. Remember Eldorado? No, you wouldn't remember Eldorado.
Eldorado.
Where don't you... Hang on.
That's not Eldorado, is it?
Don Henley's on the phone.
Desperado.
Don Henley's here. He's at the door. What do you want, Don?
Oh, wait a minute! Stop singing me songs, will you? Otherwise I'll get the lawyers to sue you out of your damn studio! Anyway, it's not Eldorado, it's Desperado. Shut up! Stop singing me damn songs!
All right, mate. Just take it easy. We've had this conversation before.
I just had to
Dude.
kick Don Henley out.
Yeah, he's a nightmare.
He was getting very angry.
Yeah, especially when he's had a drink.
Small guy?
Yeah, little. Yeah, he's a bit cranky. Anyway,
He can only communicate while playing air drums, though.
right.
That was the interesting part.
Oh, it was nice to see him though.
Eldorado was a British soap opera on
Was
on the BBC that was embracing the new optimistic view of European culture. So it was all these people in, I guess they were Spain maybe, given it was called Eldorado. Might even have been a fictitious place. Anyway, out of all these people, like there was obviously the Essex guy and some crazy Italian and, you know, loads and loads of stereotypes from around Europe, all mixing together wonderfully in a British soap opera called Eldorado. Anyway, one of the main characters was Marcus Tandy. And his Spanish girlfriend, oh God, called him Marcos. Marcos. He had one of those Renault GT 2000 cars, I think it was called.
Right.
Really futuristic, like total Judge Dredd looking thing.
Brilliant.
Anyway,
Loads of people are going. So John 77. Here we go. Airfire. Brilliant. Scott Curry. That's a terrible Texas accent. John says Brian Johnson was much nicer. Backer says don't Henry instead of Don Henry.
Dorman says, Jesus Christ, Mick, you watched too much Eldorado. It was shite. It really was.
Matt Swanton says
dreadful.
Don isn't as nice as Mr. Sting.
No, Mr. Sting.
Mr. Sting.
It'd be nice to see him again soon, wouldn't it, Mr. Sting?
Canny chair.
Oh,
Brilliant.
Didn't stand so close to me. Anyway, Don Henley exited the building, sent packing.
He's lovely though.
Doing a tour of Scotland. Hotel Caledonia.
That's really good.
There was, to be
That's
fair,
really
there was an Eagles tribute band, Scottish Eagles tribute band called Hotel Caledonia.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Marcus Reeves, sorry mate. He says, hey chaps, I hope you're well. And Dan's NAMM over has gone.
Yeah.
Flipping love the shows in 2025 thus far. So, are you going to see Becoming Led Zeppelin at all? Have beers. Cheers, buddy.
Oh, thanks, mate.
I guess that's a new film, is it?
Yes.
And if it is, then yes.
I want to say yes.
Oh yeah, wow.
Awesome.
It's a musical.
Oh, hang on. Is it a film musical?
Forthcoming documentary film directed by Bernard McMahon charts the formation and early years of Led Zeppelin.
Wow.
Independent production made with the full cooperation of the band.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Thank you. Remember that Hendrix movie that came out that didn't? That was terrible. What a shame.
Yes, thank you, Marcus. And yeah, that will be really good. Hopefully there's been an acceptable line drawn between the full cooperation of the band and some sort of truth-telling.
Yeah, okay.
Because obviously we
don't want to know the truth.
No.
No, leave it. Better left unsolved.
Yeah. You can't dust for vomit. Yeah, because like one is probably going to remember things with a fairly idealised manner.
Completely.
Aren't you? Yeah, great. Nice. Paul Matulovic. Hey, Paul. Good to hear from you. Evening, lads. On the lucky day Mike Piera calls my number, would Yins think the high gain option is worth it? One side, both, or neither?
You've got the high gain option in yours, and I don't have in mine, and I prefer mine. But I do like yours as well.
It's not a huge amount.
No. It's just a hair.
Yeah. Mike says maybe 20%, whatever that means. But it depends what you want to use it for. Like, if you're talking gain, right? There are plenty of other pedals that do gain as their thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And Kingtone's never going to be a high gain, hard rock kind of sound as we know it. I like mine. I don't use it much because I don't use the KOT much. I think Dan's just grown completely accustomed to his because he's had it for eons,
Yeah.
like pre-waitlist. And yeah, if I let me say, if I was ordering again, I would go for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I just think that sounds magic, so I wouldn't mess with it.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
there you go.
Bit of extra gain if that's your thing.
Clear as the proverbial mud, mate.
There we go.
Yeah, hope you're well, Paul. Hope you're well.
Yeah, mate.
Lefty,
Hey, bud.
who I believe used to be Lefty O'Bass, but is now just Lefty, or maybe that's not you. In any case, Lefty. Evening, leg ends, and welcome back from NAMM, Daniel. Any chance you bumped into Cornerstone Emilio with his Nucleo?
Yes.
What's that then?
It's a reverb pedal that he did with Paul Davids.
Ah, he says, I'm tingling in enormous MIDI-enabled pre-ordered reverb anticipation.
Yeah, it looks spectacular.
Any idea of a release date?
I think. Oh, that's a great question. I didn't know it wasn't released. They had it there. I had to play. It was really lovely. Saw Paul Davids. Said hi.
How's he doing?
Good.
Still sexy?
He's an attractive man.
He's a sexy man. With the voice to match.
Yeah. No, he's good. He's good. Yeah. It's
They
a
look like
really
a
good
guitar
looking
French.
pedal. They've done a really good job. And it does a lot. You know, for their first foray into ambient sound capture, whatever you call that,
IRs.
IRs, they've done an amazing job.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's a reverb pedal you can load IRs into,
yeah,
is it?
well, Paul did a video on playing guitar inside an old nuclear silo,
And he captured that IR for Loki, didn't he, I think?
and then this pedal came out as well, which is his signature reverb.
Right, nice.
Yeah,
Which is why it's called the Nucleo.
exactly. Yeah, it's very cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
Was he glowy when he came out?
You come up and say, "Hey, Paul." It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good. Well, hopefully we'll get it on, Lefty. Paul
Yeah.
Matulovic again. He says, Paul Matulovic, just got to say how much I love Friday's show. It was Pick and Mix that brought me to your channel many moons ago.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
been a swell ride since. Yeah, people have enjoyed just the bang a few pedals on the board and whack through them, haven't they?
Yeah, but they've been really good ones.
Yeah.
We've been, well, I guess luck isn't the right word, but we've had some stellar sounding things on there.
Yeah, and just a thread that ties them together.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Yeah, there's a certain freedom about it because we don't have to do any research, which is really brilliant. Well, we do have to read the manuals. We did miss something on the VS audio, by the way. There's a press and hold function, which we totally missed.
Well, we
Which I don't think could have been in the manual because if it had, I would have read it. But
had to miss something, otherwise people wouldn't know it was us.
it would not be that pedal show.
They think it would be some sort of AI.
Blaxigo, Duncan, how are you, buddy?
Hey,
He
mate.
says, hey, DNM, and maybe R. Oh, yeah, R. I wonder if Catherine's left yet. I guess we should let her in.
Oh. Yes, of course.
Catherine may not have gone yet, but...
Let's see. 'Cause normally Catherine will head home before us and Rosie will come in for a quick hello. Oh, here she comes.
No, she's going to come in and say hello anyway.
Okay. Hey, baby girl.
Hello, Rose. You okay? Anyway, how you doing? You all right? We'll go home soon. We'll go home soon. Yeah, we will. Go home and get some biscuits. I know. I shouldn't have said that, should I? Shouldn't have said that, should I?
You said the B word.
You
You
coming up
said
here?
the B word.
Oh no. Coming up here? No? Okay. So Duncan wants to know, what are your thoughts on Dumble making a comeback? Thank you.
Oh, okay. So I went to the booth
Really interesting, this.
and had a look. It is right. It's tricky.
his estate, right?
His estate.
His estate.
His estate. Yes. I don't understand all of it, but apparently to keep the IP going, they've got to produce something. Otherwise, it would be in danger of being...
They can't afford to keep suing people, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to see that many real Dumbles in a room all at once, because they had all...
Did they?
Yeah. Oh, dude. It's insane.
Really?
Yeah. Stevie's old Dumbles
Yeah,
in
yeah.
there. You remember the amp Robin said that he sold his old spare one?
Yeah.
That was there.
His spare Dumble.
His spare Dumble.
Yeah, yeah. I just,
But there would have
keep mine in
been...
the boot of the car,
Yeah, there would have been 10 Dumbles in that room.
Oh.
It was just outrageous.
Trouble in the Dumble.
And
What is the collective noun for Dumbles? Got to be embarrassment, hasn't
an
it?
embarrassment of Dumbles. But the funniest thing was, Lee was in there, and he had a play, and then he posted a picture. It says, "If you're wondering if your digital emulation sounds just like a Dumble, let me tell you now, it doesn't." But it was amazing. They had a little soundproof booth, and you'd be invited in, and then a really great guitar player would just play some tones, and it'd be like, well, that's it. It was the same experience that we had in here, and they were proper Dumble. So yeah, it was very, very cool.
And
Now,
did you feel it?
oh yeah, it was loud. They turned it up.
They
and
sound
it
good?
Sounded great. There's some really lovely players in there playing them.
Yeah.
But these weren't new Dumbles they're making. These were the old Dumbles they were playing.
Yeah.
It
is hard because, what we know, having spoken to owners of those amps, was that he would, work a bit with the player to make it work for them. So they were, in some sense, custom for the individual. And as we know, Robin Ford has told us firsthand that, he and Larry have the same amp and they sound completely different.
Yeah. And they didn't like each other's. They didn't like the other person's amp.
Yeah.
They liked their own. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Hey, Fender makes guitars called Fender, right? Nobody called Fender works at Fender anymore.
Yeah.
Now, it's a bit different because they were designed to be mass-produced things, that Leo Fender did not have his hands on. So there is a difference there.
Sure. So Dustin Thiessen says, without Howard, there isn't a Dumble. And I think that there's a few people that feel like that. Look, I don't know the whole story of it, but all I can say, it was pretty mega to be in a room with like a dozen Dumbles and hearing them being played, and that was great. If there is a way to do it that is sensitive to Alexander's legacy, then that'd be great. What that looks like, but apparently that's what they're doing. So yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Scott Gallis says it's to protect trademarks, and yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons that Gibson and Fender have been litigious, in that you have to defend them.
Yeah, you do.
But you also have to have the money to defend them, which is a whole other game.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if people of the world decided, I'm not going to just copy your shit, I'm going to do something original? That would be better, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Chris Quinn said, Mick, you could get your doctorate on the psychology around Dumbles. What a labyrinth of nonsense, crystal lattice, at least.
Yeah.
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 Except for,
it's the best guitar amplifier I have ever heard. Conscious presence and all elements of bias and heuristics notwithstanding.
Yeah. Yeah,
and you couldn't say that. If it was here for a day and you listen to it, it would be very hard to make that thing. But it was here for
a while.
And
We got
even
to
without
experience
Robin
it.
here, we used to get it out fairly regularly and have Schwang on it just to
check ourselves.
Just to check ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, did I really hear that? And every time the answer was yes, I bloody did.
Yep.
Hauntingly so.
Yep.
So, which isn't to say other amplifiers don't exist that do that, but I haven't heard them yet. So, yeah. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Dumble, dumble, dumble. Dumblebore. That's what we should have a t-shirt called Dumblebore. Did he wear a hat? Dumbledore?
Yeah.
Like a witch's hat?
Like a wizard's hat.
Yeah, same thing.
No, Michael. That calls for you.
Can you
The sadness in my
can
heart.
you discriminate gender-wise like that these days?
A watch. A wizard watch.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Rick Appleby says, actually, can you get male witches?
Wizards. A male witch is
well,
a
I'm
wizard.
saying, is a male witch a wizard, or is a witch like a different thing? See what I'm saying?
I do. I'd love that you think I know, but I mean,
Like, is a witch a thing of itself, like different functions?
I don't believe so.
Right.
Wizards are generally taller and have longer beards.
Here's an interesting one for you then. Would you say that wizards have the benefit of history and viewed slightly better than witches?
Well, they didn't get burned at the stake, did they?
Why?
Because they were the burning ones, doing the burning.
Well, the wizards were.
Probably.
Yeah, I would say wizards have come off better than witches
Did you know though?
historically.
There is I don't know if
Wizard, wise, good do-gooder.
I don't
Witch, nasty, burn them.
know. Right, I don't know how much truth there is to this, and I bet you
Really?
there's none. I bet you there's none. But apparently, those being burnt at the stake and all this sort of stuff was everywhere.
Yeah,
And when it got to the UK, it got up to a certain point before it was
yeah.
right. Apparently, that point is somewhere near Bournemouth.
Right.
And I used to play a lot in Bournemouth, and one thing about Bournemouth really stuck out to me. There was a lot of very attractive women in Bournemouth. Right? But apparently, if an attractive woman caused a guy to...
Oh, back in the day.
Back in the day,
They'd be burnt as a witch.
witch.
Yeah, I did hear a very
Warlock. Thank you, BV.
Which is a male
Which is
witch.
a warlock.
so not necessarily a wizard.
I don't know.
Yeah, I did actually. There was a really good program on Radio 4 back when I used to listen to the radio
Right.
about because it was a practice that continued quite a long time into modernity, more than you would think.
What, burning of witches?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna stop. Let's move on.
That's a great Radiohead album, though.
Yeah.
Well,
Michael
also
Giliberto
track, I
says,
should say.
mix steeped in Merlin. There's plenty of evil wizards in movies. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, lots of coming in on the witches. James Bless, they were both good and bad witches. Yeah. Insert ex-girlfriend comments here. Rick Appleby.
G'day, Rick.
Oh no, Lawrence Henderson. Sorry, Lawrence, we missed you. How could we miss you, Lawrence? With such a regal name as Lawrence Henderson. Hey chaps, hope you're well. Have you ever had to take a break from playing from where on your body? Hands are particularly tired and tight at the moment. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't.
No.
When I started playing the big guitar, I did get new calluses, and I had to take that easy, especially on these fingers here from doing the strings like that.
Yeah.
That took a week or two.
The more jiu-jitsu I do, the more I have to
Pardon
practice.
me.
Otherwise, my hands get all claw-like. But as long as I keep my practice up, it's all right.
Yeah, would encourage you, Lawrence. You may already be doing this, and apologies if it's too simple to suggest it, but if you are sat in one position playing all the time, it's a really good idea to move around a bit. maybe put a strap on and stand up. I don't know. RSI and all of that all comes from being in one position too long. So moving around a bit is a really good idea if you can. And if you're practicing a phrase that's a particular hand position, you know, make it your practice to then play a few open position chords after, or something completely different to just try and break that single position thing. But yeah, clearly neither Dan nor I are medical professionals. What was it? Does anyone remember Loaded magazine from the 90s, back when all kinds of things were allowed? Dr. Mick was their resident doctor, and Dr. Mick's strapline was, "I'm not a doctor, but I'll have a bloody good look." Anyway, well versed in the world of medicine and fixing people that Dan and I are.
And we are available for consultation.
Absolutely. Insultation. Any physio or any person has always said to me, if it hurts, stop. So if you are getting pain, stop, because you're only going to make it worse. But yeah, and then of course there's the dear old age issue. There's no reason you should be tremendously less fitter as you slide into middle age. But
no, mid-70s is when, apparently there's a thing at 40, but between 40 and mid-70s, there's no reason for it.
But I have to admit that I get tired more easily.
Yeah.
Definitely. And there is that, you know, it's just a fact of life. It's to a point that things aren't as easy. You know, I look at my 212 Lone Star now, I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't really want to be carrying that around too much. Whereas I just wouldn't even give it a second thought.
Yeah.
Not so long ago.
Yeah.
You know, Lone Star in one hand, flaming 2x12 cab in the other, no sweat. But yeah, so there could be a bit of that. I guess you got to. I went to see a GP last week.
Did you?
Yeah, about my back. I have a recurring back problem.
Okay.
Anyway. Well, that was one of the things.
And what they say?
Well, the
They
amazing.
say you may have a back problem, young man, but my goodness, you're attractive.
Yeah.
Nothing we can do about that.
I actually went because I have a mole to look at, and she said that's fine. Anyway, but I said there is another thing. I've got this recurring back problem that I know what it is. It usually goes away. Blah blah blah. Won't bore you with that. Anyway, so she looks and she says, yeah, the pain in the middle of your back is probably referred pain. And I was like, oh God, I did drink quite a lot over Christmas. Did you think it could be that? She's like, no, it's not that. The symptoms are completely different. Anyway, she said, are you stressed? And I said, I was horrifically stressed just before Christmas. And she said, yeah, you got to listen to your body. So much joint and muscle pain is a direct result of stress.
Really?
Yeah, think about your lifestyle choices, do some physio, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, are you a GP? GPs used to say, here, have some drugs, go away.
Yeah.
I thought that was very progressive.
It's very good.
I was very pleased to hear that.
Nice.
Yeah. How do we get onto that? Pain, yeah. Yeah, and Lawrence, it might even be worth going to see a physio if you feel particularly worried about it, and maybe they give you some exercises to do or some best practice to think about. I mean, if you really want to go into it, could be, who knows? Could be all kinds of things like, are you calcium deficient? Have you got enough fatty acids in your diet? Etc. 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 All those things that Dan and I are highly qualified to talk about. Etc. Etc. Or you could just be tired, have a rest.
Yeah. I like option C.
Yeah.
How are we doing?
We're almost there. One more.
Okay.
From Rick Appleby.
Hello, Rick.
Hey,
Appleby.
Rick. You managed to just get in there. I notice you're paying in euros. Maybe you're in Ireland, or maybe you're somewhere else in the European Union. During the pedalboard challenge, my ears pricked up when Dan talked about making sure that any pedal that is in the isolated side must not touch anything from the non-isolated side. Please elaborate.
Okay. So, when you power your pedal, the 0 volts You have 0 volts and 9 volts, and the 0 volts generally is connected to ground. When you isolate your pedal, you're going through, we don't use audio transformers, we use some very clever technology that took a long time, but when you isolate...
Dan's being very, very, very low-key about that. It is a big deal.
It's a very... thank you.
Sonically is a big deal.
Yeah, so what comes out of... If you imagine you split your signal and you've got an earth there. The earth, and you've got an AC thing. The earth is the reference for the upper voltage of your signal. You can't just remove it because then you don't have a reference. When you go through your isolation box, you are giving the secondary of your transformer, or the stuff that we do, which is very clever, gives you another reference that isn't connected to earth. The problem is if you have another pedal that is connected to earth and you touch the shield of this guitar, then you are giving it the same reference. So you can then, the earth loop is back. So once you've split that signal, you can put another pedal on the split signal on the isolated side, but you can't let your jack plugs or the metal box or whatever touch the earth, the ground of the other pedals. Otherwise, you then give it the same reference. You're back into having an earth loop. I think that's the most succinct way that I can put that.
Yeah, so even because the outside of the case is earth.
That's right.
Is that why, just as a slight tangent before we finish, a lot of power supplies aren't centre positive?
Yeah, the center negative, which was it a Boss thing? But if you've got like your clon with your mini jack, that is flipped and the earth is the case. The center negative thing is a I want to say a bad design that just got carried forward.
Right.
Because the negative still will generally get connected to the case, but it's a thing in guitar that, you know,
It's
could have done
annoying.
better at the start.
Fair. Yeah, a misunderstanding on my part. Okay, thank you for being with us, everyone. We'll see you on Friday. We don't exactly know what the show's going to be yet. It'll be whatever we film tomorrow. So more of that old stuff. Someone was saying about Manic Monday. Who was saying about Manic Monday? Come on. Good thing it wasn't a Manic Monday, but maybe the Bangles would drop in. Hopefully we won't get a copyright strike. So that'll be but I can't be late.
Thinking about what I'm going to wear, Michael.
Yeah. But these are the days when you wish your bed was already made.
That's my
Yeah.
fun day. Happy bun day.
Yeah. That's my fun day. Just another Manic Monday. Thank you. Bye. I have to do that in my acoustic set. People are surprised.
Ugh.